Today we have an incredible team joining us from Piper Maddox, and they're here to share insights on key trends for scaling a battery business in 2025 with some workforce development insights. Very timely as we kick off the year. My name is Myra, and I'm the Director of Member Success at Volta Foundation. Just want to thank everyone for joining in today. It's going to be an amazing discussion. If this is your first time joining a Volta Foundation program, welcome officially to the largest network of battery professionals globally. Our webinar series is about one of 15 programs organized by Volta Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting the growth of the battery industry. We've hosted about 50 in-person and virtual events just within the last year, maybe 15 within the last month. We produce industry-leading publications like the annual battery report, which is actually going to be launched this weekend. It's amazing. We have a dedicated Women in Batteries program, as well as host the largest virtual battery career fair event within the industry. Our next battery career fair is coming up on April 3rd. Everything we do is open access and centered on helping companies and professionals like you connect, collaborate, and advance your businesses and careers. In addition to today's program, be sure to check out Battery Street, Volta Foundation's Slack channel and largest open communication platform within the industry. View past programs on Volta Foundation's YouTube channel, subscribe to our newsletters, and be sure to register for upcoming events throughout 2025. All right, that's Volta Foundation. Now let's chat logistics for today's program. For the audience, if you have any questions throughout the program, please enter them into the Zoom chat, and the presenting team will answer as many as possible following the presentation during Q&A. And I'm sure you can always check out Alex and Elliot's LinkedIn profile if you have some burning questions that you're not able to get to today. If you have questions related to the platform, I'll be in the background. Volta Foundation team will be in the background, and we'll be here to help. I already see that we have one hand raised, and I'll check in with you in a little bit. I love it. All right, I'm thrilled to introduce today's speakers. For the audience, please join me in welcoming Mr. Alex Cohen, Senior Director and one of the founders of Piper Maddox. With over 16 years of experience in the energy and clean tech recruitment sector, and a decade officially within the renewable energy recruitment space in North America, Alex is a recognized leader in the field. As one of the founders of Piper Maddox, Alex has been instrumental in establishing the firm as a major player in the U.S. clean technology recruitment industry over the past 9 years. Thanks for joining us, Alex.
Thanks for having me, Myra.
Yeah. And joining Alex today, Mr. Elliot Knox. Hey, Elliot.
Hey.
I don't see it on my screen. Yeah, it's when you guys talk, you pop up. I love it.
I'm here.
Yeah, I love it. Elliot serves as the VP of Client Development and Commercial Strategy for Piper Maddox. His background is truly unique, having transitioned from a successful career as an engineer and energy manager within the industry, where he specialized in solar, BESS, EV charging, and smart grid technologies. Now, as a recruitment leader, Elliot has partnered with and supported some of the most reputable and successful energy storage businesses globally. This diverse experience gives him an exceptional perspective at the intersection of recruitment strategy and technical expertise, making him an invaluable resource for today's discussion. So thrilled to have you both here, Alex and Elliot. Thanks for joining us, and I'm looking forward to a really great discussion. So on that note, I'll hand it off to you two, and we'll just dive in.
Thank you, Myra. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, and really excited to have this conversation today. Well, between Elliot and I, and with you all, covering the key trends for scaling battery business in 2025. Just to quickly frame the context, although Myra did an exceptional job, Piper Maddox is one of the US and Europe's leading clean tech and renewables recruitment partners. We are unique in that we've been active in the battery industry for almost a decade. We've worked with some of the largest names in the space, some names you've probably never heard of, and some really high growth businesses, and helping them attract and retain top talent in the market. As Myra pointed out, I was one of the founders, and it was as we started, we launched our battery storage division, and I helped get that off the ground, and have the privilege of overseeing our US operations. Again, as Myra highlighted, Elliot, who's going to be invaluable to this discussion, as vice president, has led our clean tech recruitment division, specifically in battery storage, and also comes with that unique engineering background, unique industry knowledge that gives him such a unique vantage point in terms of his perspective of the market. So, Elliot, how are you doing today?
Yeah, good. Thank you, Alex. Thanks for having us, Myra. Excited to kick things off.
Nice. Well, we can get into a big and broad question here. But yeah, how would you describe the employment market in the US for the battery industry?
It's the golden question, right? But just probably some cliff observations, if you like. Extremely competitive, in demand, and yeah, a huge talent shortage for where it needs to be to hit those targets, specifically within battery R&D. But the main one being on the manufacturing side, and scaling that business to be able to reach full industrialization and commercialization. So I'd say in 2024 we've seen some of those businesses, the likes of Cuberg, Northvolt, and the mass scale redundancies of Tesla. We have seen some of the other businesses in the market be able to capitalize on some of those talents, falls, I guess, being able to scrape up some of those specialist employees that sort of flooded onto the market at one point last year. We're seeing a lot of businesses fighting for the same talent, a lot of businesses with a very, very similar end goal of what they're looking to produce on their production line. And some gigafactories requiring a minimum of 1,000 battery specific employees to get production off the ground, with in some cases full production capacity targets requiring 6,000 employees for one specific plant. The observation from this year specifically is that to hit those numbers, there simply doesn't seem near enough the amount of homegrown talent available in the US at this current time to be able to support those sorts of production numbers. In the past, we've heavily relied upon engineers being repurposed from lithium-ion production lines from the likes of China, Japan, Korea. However, a big question mark, with the new administration, for good or for bad, there's potential that, we can expect, maybe acquiring some of those specialist visas from specialists that side of the globe, potentially, potentially more challenging for 2025 going forward. So I think at this point, my view on the battery industry as a holistic view is that it's extremely important to encourage homegrown engineers at high school and college level to take an interest in battery engineering. If the US is to achieve production and economic growth within that battery market. So that would be like a high level take, I'd say, Alex.
A high level and detailed take. Thank you, Elliot. Yeah, I think it's interesting. There is some opportunities there to acquire talent when it becomes available from some of those firms that you mentioned. But generally speaking, the market remains scarce in comparison with the demand in the market. And yeah, with likely maybe some constraints coming in the future as demand continues to increase. Some interesting topics for us to explore today. So thanks for that. And Zooming out a little bit to give like some broader context of the industry and trends through last year, what would you say have been, yeah, those in your mind at least, the most interesting trends for 2024?
Yeah, so 2024 was quite an interesting year for battery manufacturing and in supply chain innovation, if you like. We saw a tremendous amount of domestic battery recycling sort of strengthening in that area. We've got portfolio companies as notable as Berkshire Hathaway and other notable investment portfolios investing in US-based battery recycling. Really pushing and working hard towards that real US circular supply chain for battery materials. Another trend would be continued growth of flow batteries and the further adoption of those long duration electrolytes. So essentially liquid electrolytes that can last, 20 plus years without losing energy while still having the accessibility to be maintained through that life cycle by that maintenance and service division. Another really interesting trend that's probably, come to fruition towards the second half of 2024, more commonly is lithium sulfur batteries. These batteries use sulfur, a sulfur cathode instead of cobalt. Everyone knows the challenges of mining cobalt, some of the environmental, amber or orange flags there. And that should allow an easier way to commercialize batteries by using that sort of material. So there's plenty of trends in 2024, but I think as far as some of the ones that stand out, some of the ones that are going to be carried over into 2025 and beyond, I think those three are really really strong, and you're gonna see a lot of headlines with alluding to those three trends going forward.
Yeah, thanks, Elliot. And I think it's great to think about these with topics within the context of like sustainability and clean energy and electrification and the positive impact I think that this industry is having on the planet. It's great to see that we're still innovating in all of these three areas that you've mentioned, because and not just relying on new lithium ion batteries kind of flooding the market, and looking at different ways, as you said, to do that more sustainably, to create that circular economy within the US. So it's really exciting topics that you've chosen there. So with that all in mind, what would you say have been the real challenges the market and the players within the market have faced in 2024?
To answer that broadly, many. But yeah, I'd say 2024 was a rather flat year in terms of market growth in comparison to the post-COVID years of 2022, 2023, where just across the energy market in general, not just batteries, we really did see that boom. Lots of businesses currently are treading water or have been treading water, kind of holding their breath amid the presidential election, seeing what's going to happen, and really putting together solid plans as a plan A or plan B strategy based on the potential new policies that are going to be rolled out in 2025. As one of the other, quite large challenges in 2024 that sort of came to fruition Q1 onwards was the interest rates. Raising capital in 2024 was certainly more challenging than 2023, with a 36% reduction in capital raised from 2023 to 2024. So a real significant sort of dip there based on not just the presidential sort of battle there, but also the interest rates.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think as a spoiler for everybody listening, we are going to tackle the themes coming into this year, and I think some of those challenges will spill over. Certainly in terms of interest rates, access to capital, and an uncertain policy environment. But there's definitely cause for optimism within that framework as well, which we'll touch on. But as we continue to look at the trends, challenges for last year, can start to zoom in terms of where Piper Maddox kind of fits into the equation as a recruitment partner. We obviously spend most of our days supporting our clients in their search for talent. And Elliot, you have that really amazing perspective in getting oversight over that. What were the most, and I think this is going to be interesting to both, companies looking to hire and candidates themselves as they start or diversify their career. Thinking about what's in demand and how that might impact them. So long-winded way of asking you, what have been the most in-demand skill sets through this last year?
So what we're seeing at the moment, and this is probably consistent with the last 24 months, and I expect these trends to continue as far as the in-demand skill sets. They're really split across three main contenders, all of which are really imperative to getting a manufacturing plant off the ground, specifically on the battery side. First skill set is your gigafactory construction types of personnel, architects, VPs of construction, construction managers, all the way down to those project engineers. Really imperative to the design and I guess the getting the commissioning arranged of these factories projects. Number two would be following on from that organically, production line construction and equipment install. So whether it be cell, pack, slurry mixing, calendaring, automation machinery, those are the next level of skill sets that are really imperative to seeing a gigafactory get off the ground. And then number three, again, organically following on from this process would be process engineering, process engineers, those personnel that are really important to kickstarting pilot lines and sort of build out and grow that process engineering division to allow further down the line for, full production capacity, which, can take some time to get there, but once all the other areas are up and running, building out a really solid, experienced and sort of ambitious process engineering team is really important to hit that top end production capacity that is the goal for all businesses.
Excellent insights there. Yeah, thanks, Elliot. And pulling it even closer into our world as recruitment partners in the space, what we can look at both the candidate and the company perspective, but as there are the market dynamics are often changing and who's doing what in this market is changing. What advice would you give to a candidate setting out on their search for their next adventure, the next opportunity in their career?
Yeah, I guess the answer to this can be really dynamic, right? It really depends on what what you are, if you are a candidate, what you are looking for from your next move. What's important to you. Could it be a bigger base and max comp? Always nice to have more money, but not always the most important for sure. Is it having bigger projects on your resume? Is it the technology? I think it's quite a personal endeavor and a personal question. But my advice would be to look for an opportunity that can hit most of the line items that you want out of your next career move. It's always going to be hard to tick 10 out of 10, but if you can get 7, 8, you're definitely in a good position. Something I would personally do, just looking at how the market's been and potentially sometimes how volatile it can be even for larger businesses, would be to check personally, I would be checking the long-term runway of a business. Do they have the attributes and financials to successfully, either launch, a pilot line or a business, whether that be in a different industry, or even take the business to the full scale capacity in the US market. Like we've seen, bigger isn't always better when it comes to joining a business. We've seen with Tesla, etc., great business. However, with such large headcount costs, mass redundancy is usually towards, if not at the top of the list, when they're looking to produce an attractive bottom line. So that would be something I would really look to. And an obvious plug, but given my experience in the market, I would certainly be using a specialist recruitment partner with a network at that executive level, which is really important to highlight at the executive level, to help make the direct introduction and sell your expertise into that client. Our job is to help people to sell their experience. It's not offering, it's always a sell. And often when applying for competitive roles in this market, your profile will not always get the consideration that it deserves, when you've put so much effort into that application. That would be some of my advice at this point anyway.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think you touched on a few things that I think candidates sometimes miss that I would really like double down on. First being, I think some candidates will, send as many applications as possible to then start to build a picture of the market, and then try as they move through the experience to then choose which one they want and for what reason. Sometimes I feel like that's the wrong way around. And as you put it, Elliot, it can be important. I think it's really important to start with consideration of what are the most important factors to you personally in your career, and I almost rank them, right? And yeah, as you get your top 3 to top 10, check those boxes off and take a systematic approach to how you're thinking about the opportunity. Like you said, bigger isn't always better. And I think that, and likewise, even for some candidates, stable. Like, we think big means stable. I think that's a misnomer. I don't think that those two things are always equivalent. And that's across all industries and all parts of the market. And I think it's been borne out by redundancies in a lot of industries. But I also think that people looking for long-term stability should really make that clear as part of the interview process. That they should be asking the question, and indeed this is true of all your criterias. When you go into an interview process, it can't just be a one-way street. I think you have to provide thoughtful questions that help you derive your answer as to whether this is the right opportunity for you. Because the interviewers will absolutely be trying to assess your fit. But also, yeah, that's your opportunity to really understand whether the opportunity is right for you. And sorry, to come back to the point I was trying to make on long-term versus short-term, some people that can manage a bit of risk doesn't always mean putting the biggest logo on your resume. Sometimes that means working for a business that has an incredible vision that and technology that you're excited about, to help them over the next few years trying to achieve that goal. And if the business isn't successful in doing that, that doesn't necessarily mean that you haven't been successful in your role. And sometimes that experience in going through those moments with an organization can be as valuable or more valuable depending on the next role that you're also looking for after that. So I think there's a lot of things to consider, where I think that, sometimes conventional advice is, send your resume to as many places as possible. I would probably look more thoughtfully at your process for exploring that next adventure in your career.
Yeah, totally agree.
Excellent. So for those candidates that are out there pounding the proverbial pavement, trying to find their dream next step, what are the themes or any consistencies in terms of why candidates get chosen over others, and what could help a candidate that is excited about an opportunity really stand out and ensure that they're at the top of the consideration list for any potential hiring team?
Good question. Some of the common themes of why candidates get chosen, over others, can be, as simple as, another candidate may have a better skill set and match for that role. In relation to the battery industry, we're in a really, specific technological sort of vertical industry where, if you're an R&D electrochemist, you have to have, certain attributes specifically to be able to excel in that role. So yeah, just a really good skill set match for the role. Another reason why candidates can get chosen over others is, we are in a team-led industry. No one can really excel in the battery manufacturing business on their own. It's team-led. So often some candidates will gel better with the team during an interview. Kind of another one, which is, I guess, pretty black and white, is location of the candidate and willingness to be in the office and facility. We're certainly seeing now, COVID is in the past. Working from home is becoming less and less. And when it comes down to being boots on the ground manufacturing facility, they are going to look for candidates to relocate to the local area of that gigafactory to be able to be in there sort of 4 or 5 days a week. A candidate often who will pip someone to the post, if you like, and secure that job. I know some advice from myself is a candidate that's come to the interview already with a solution-orientated strategy, demonstrating the instant impact they can have on their prospective business. We have a very high close rate of candidates securing roles all the way through from C-suite all the way down to just an entry-level engineer. Those that come with a solution-orientated strategy to their interviews, every single one, even if it's a 5-stage interview process, and speaking to new individuals within each sort of interview, someone that comes with that strategy already in mind, already there, able to add value from day one, really thought about the business, the mission statement of the business, and how they can make an impact. I'd probably say 80% of candidates don't do that. And if you're in that top 20%, you're really going to impress the people you're speaking to.
Yeah, 100%. I think for somebody that spent the best part of 15, 16 years in recruitment industry, fail to prepare and prepare to fail comes to mind as it relates to this. And absolutely, like, strong interview preparation that is specific to the organization and the opportunity at hand is essential to make sure that you stand out as a candidate. The only thing that I would add, Elliot, to your very eloquent answer is I think we're often judged in an interview process as much by the questions that we ask as the answers that we give. Curiosity is definitely valued in most organizations, but just thoughtful questions that demonstrate you understand the company's goals, what you do and don't know about a specific role or technology, and questions that show genuine interest. But also, coming back to our previous point, I think employers are desperate to communicate why you might want to join them. So asking those questions that are important to you about the process reflects really well on you as well. So I see that strategy as a win-win. So yeah, that would be the only thing that I would mention there, Elliot. On top of what you've said, that I think is pretty universal across industry. But as we start to switch the perspective to the employer side, I think we've highlighted how talent constrained the market is, and it's not just about the candidate trying to get the job; it's about the employer trying to secure the right candidate for the role. And I think this is something that, active in being a recruitment partner, active in an industry and some industries that are constantly moving. I think that when an employer fails to ask themselves this question about their own business, that's when they can tend to miss out on the best talent. And certainly, I know, Elliot, we feel the same about this. We spend a lot of time asking our clients and collaborating with our clients to be able to articulate why a candidate should get excited to join them. But yeah, what have been the trends in the market, and generally speaking, that you can raise that might help an employer put themselves in the shoes of the candidate so that they can prepare a really compelling answer to basically the question from a candidate: why would I want to come and join you guys?
Yeah, obviously it's incredibly important to get, that top level talent really excited about your business. Some of the things that really get candidates excited is the likes of the technology that your business is developing or developed or manufacturing, and the real world application and impact, combined with your company mission statement, that isn't just for your clients. It's also for attracting that talent, that mission statement. The impact that they can make on the business. Can they join day one, roll their sleeves up, get stuck in, be high impact? Are they going to be able to add that, significant value that's going to give that, career satisfaction from day one for, a tenacious, an ambitious, individual, whether that be, like I said earlier, from engineer level or up to, VPs, executive level. Something really, really important, actually, which goes under the radar quite a bit, alluding to what Alex said, is the ability from a client side to communicate the vision and the mission of the business, and being able to portray that clearly and effectively to candidates. Something that we do really well as a partner with businesses is understanding the business, being able to portray that to candidates, and really selling that that goal and that mission, and getting them excited. If you're not going to use someone like us, then you need to make sure that it's done very strongly from yourselves. And sometimes things as simple and uncontrollable from yourselves as an employer is things like the current level of production, the current level of gigawatts output, the supply agreements that the business has. If you're an EV company and you're supplying into, BMW, Porsche, and you have those sort of glossy supply agreements already in place, these are some of the things that definitely get candidates excited.
Excellent. I think, one thing I would really lean into there is, obviously it's really important to think about in general, but it's also really important to think about how you differentiate yourself within the context of the broader market. It's one thing to say we do X, but if every other firm is also doing X, then how can you find that extra detail, nuance, take on it that will help you stand out as it relates to other employers in the market? I want to stress that it's a two-way street, and I think in a highly technical industry, we can probably think too much about, does this candidate meet my technical requirements? But not only is it your job to help them get excited about the opportunity through this process, but also to continue to inspire them to succeed in the role, and to kind of assess that back and forth, because I think, again, I have the conversation almost daily where some employers really prize 110% of the requirements on a job description, but a candidate that has 110% of the requirements will probably be offered better opportunities ultimately within 6 to 12 months of joining the firm. Sometimes it might be interesting to consider the candidate that has 90% of the requirements and the right attitude to learn, that might be the one that succeeds even more in the role because of that attitude, and can stay with the business long term as they grow with the firm. So I feel like I could talk about this topic all day, but we can move on. I think this will be a feature of this next question, because again, we speak with firms and hiring managers all the time where they're upset that a candidate has rejected an offer. They've had multiple rejected offers in relation to an opportunity, and they've lost out on the candidate they want most. So yeah, from your perspective, Elliot, what would you say are the common pitfalls that companies make when trying to recruit the best talent into the organization, but they're unfortunately unable to get it across the line?
So there's multiple points on this, but I'll start with the most common ones. Just from my experience, would be time to hire. What I mean by that is, first interview of that candidate through to offer stage. How long does that process take? Is it going to be 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks? Sometimes it can be a lot longer.
Time kills all deals, right, Elliot?
Yeah, definitely. And one thing to really consider is that, candidates that are good have multiple processes going on with all of your competitors. Almost, I would say. There's a lot of movers and shakers in the market. But those candidates that are good, they stand out, and everyone does want to speak to them. So to remedy that, if you are looking at a candidate that looks really, really good, I would advise snapping them up as soon as possible. Something else is, maybe from the candidate side, why they may sort of reject you rather than, being a time constraint, would be, the candidate experience. How have they felt through this recruitment process, this interview process? Have they felt valued, or have they felt like a number? Have they been, had good conversations that's back and forth, where it's a two-way street with the hiring managers, on these interviews? So that's something that I would definitely play to. Something pretty simple, which I guess is an obvious one, is under offering against the minimum that a candidate will consider as far as compensation. You know, if they are to say, I guess the compensation in and around the ballpark that they're looking for, and where the market is, to allude to the previous point, there is other companies who are your competitors, who, you know, if they are looking to move forward, then they will pay that market rate, and more often than not, the candidate will take that and go that direction. And then I guess following on from that, just before Alex jumps in, is something less common, but does happen now and again, is uncompetitive benefits. We see certainly for you clients on this call that are recruiting at the director, VP, C-suite level, you know, with these candidates that are a lot more experienced, maybe a little bit further along in their career, the likes of, you know, 401k, those long-term LTIP benefits, so long-term incentives, et cetera, equity, you know, these are the things that really make and break, you know, that C-suite, VP, senior director level hires, you know, are maybe some of the smaller details where realistically, you know, they've probably made them, you know, the majority of their money in their career already. But, you know, to have a successful retirement long term, they need these finite details to be, you know, up to expectation. So Alex, have you got any more comments on those? I know something you've quite passionate about.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you touched on all the main ones, and I would just hammer home. You know, if any employer is thinking about hiring, and this ties in with the answer to our previous questions, is candidate experience. I think that if you place that at the forefront of your hiring process, then you will have a much higher success rate. And I think that, I chimed in there to say time kills all deals. That's like a mantra of mine for 16 years. It's absolutely true. As you put yourself in the shoes of the candidate, if a candidate doesn't feel like they're really wanted by the organization, or they're not certain about that, how is that making them feel about wanting to join the organization? So I think it is important. I think, sometimes firms play their cards too close to the chest, and the same way candidates do, right? But I think it is important to tell the people that you like about an opportunity that you like them and that you're interested in them. You see them in the organization. That ties into the point on the timeline. Our data has shown actually that if a candidate is in interview process for longer than 3 weeks, they are just flat out less likely to accept a job offer. If a candidate is, and that starts to become an exponential effect for every week that's added. So certainly, if your interview process is going past 4 weeks, then there's an easy way for you to fix that problem. Same for the number of interview stages. We usually find that a candidate understands that they are interested in an opportunity within ultimately 2 or 3 interviews. They've got everything they need to move forward on the opportunity. And every subsequent interview, this is a bit more anecdotal, right? But every subsequent interview makes them feel that you're less certain of their skill set or their fit within the organization. So, it's the laws of attraction. If you're feeling that the other party isn't particularly keen, then you might even subconsciously withdraw from that opportunity. So again, the number of stages determines how likely a candidate is to accept an offer. And to your point on lowballing salaries, I think this is one that the salaries is a taboo topic that I think both parties struggle with. And I think where both parties fall down in this discussion is that it's a discussion and it's a collaborative process. And if both parties can come with a solution-oriented mindset and flexibility to the discussion, then that's when a deal gets done, and that's when a candidate signs. And I'll just, so I'm looking at time, just to circle back, if you are able to perfectly articulate your vision and the why this opportunity is great for a candidate in the market, then the compensation and that back and forth becomes less important to the candidate because you're checking so many of the other boxes along the way, right? So I wonder if the candidates in this forum will agree with that, right? That they might be prepared to compromise $5,000 on their base salary if all the other boxes are checked and they feel really excited about the opportunity. But let's look forward for 2025. Elliot, tell me, what's your outlook for this year and beyond in the battery storage market?
Yeah, so I'll be honest, it's almost too early to say anything really concrete at this point. But certainly a few interesting points to think about. On the production side, we can potentially, highlight that again. Expect prices of imported production materials to increase due to certain potential import tariffs that are likely to come into play, just going off sort of previous data. However, we do believe that production will maintain on track, providing there's no surprises, that is. When it comes to battery production, the infrastructure for, some of the larger businesses is already there. Some of the funding's already been agreed, etc. Gigafactories are, nearing the final stages of construction. Pilot lines have gone in last year, and production has started to kick off. So I expect that to remain, consistent northward trend. On the not something we've actually spoken about too much, but on the energy storage project side, so your integration of grid scale, utility, commercial and industrial size projects. Globally, we are expecting to see that grow in 2025 by 76% just in 2025. Wow. I know that's not US specific, but on a global scale, 76% 2025, and that's a recent Bloomberg study. So usually quite reliable sort of team they've got there. Another conversation area for 2025 and beyond, if we could flick to that slide, Alex, is how do we bridge the talent gap? What I mean by this is that the talent numbers required for us to reach that sort of energy transition or gigawatt output goal by 2030. You'll see this recent study. We're still waiting for the 2024 numbers to come through, so you will see this is from 2023. But just to give you an idea of some of the numbers and some of the increases that we need, 2023 we're currently sat at 63,667. I think at the moment we're around sort of 72 in that ballpark. But in the next 5 years, should I say, we've got to get up to in and around the 300,000 headcount capacity, and that's across the entire supply chain. So you'll see things in there, obviously your typical chemical manufacturing, but also, repair and maintenance, et cetera, et cetera. So I guess, how do we bridge that gap? And what are the risks? Potentially some of the risk is, are we going to see a slower number of overseas specialists moving to the US due to, potential visa restrictions up to 2029, only leaving us, a year on the back end potentially. How are we going to hit that number? It's really important that I do think it's going to be a big stretch to get there, but we certainly can get in and around where we need to be. What we need to do is really push for an increase of homegrown battery production supply chain talent. increase that by at least 25% of what we currently have as an output from the US. That really has to start at high school and college level. From our point at Piper Maddox, we've done a lot of work with colleges and local authorities in California and Texas, career fairs, etc. Almost advertising for the industry, if you like. But it's got to be, it's got to be on a much larger scale than, a mid-size consultancy like ourselves, sort of dipping our hand in, if you like. So yeah, that would be some of the key takes for 2025. Really exciting year ahead of us. I do think 2024, as I mentioned earlier, was a rather flat year and a bit of a plateau. People holding their breath, etc., for various different reasons. But from the conversations I'm having with my clients, who are some of the Fortune 500 global energy businesses across the world, 2025 as an outlook is looking really promising, and the pipeline of projects, supply agreements that have already been secured throughout 2024 that are likely to kickstart in 25 puts us in a really exciting position.
Excellent. All right. Well, yeah, really nicely summarized. I don't want to mess things up or distill any of that. But yeah, some interesting push and pull factors in the market right now. Broader macro conditions, tariffs, incoming administration, shoring up domestic manufacturing. Just the sheer demand for battery storage systems. Even though the US looks to be pulling back slightly from the EV sector, globally, it's not going anywhere, and EV sales continue to rise, right? And the US companies are not just going to want to service US customers, but an international customer base. And yeah, as we see this hyperscaling of data centers across the US, the demand for flexible, clean energy solutions means that, as you correctly pointed out, at the project level, we're going to see huge demand for energy storage systems and therefore products. So 2025, I think, is going to be a fascinating year and an exciting year for everybody involved.
Absolutely.
I'm just going to reframe like who we are, just for those that joined a little bit later in the organization, just before we hand over to a bit of Q&A, if we can squeeze it in. Myra, sorry if we overran slightly. We have Piper Maddox. We are a global recruitment partner, 4 offices in the US, 4 offices across Europe, servicing both of those continents. We've been in the market for almost a decade now, exclusively focused in clean tech and clean energy. Forbes has recognized us as being a top staffing partner in the space. We've got over 125 of us now, helping address the talent shortage in the market and working with partners across the space. So yeah, we feel sort of well positioned in the market to provide this advice today and discuss these topics. So we are ready for the Q&A side of the discussion, Myra.
Let's do it. Oh man, you guys, thank you so much for a great discussion. I think you touched on a lot of the things that people were asking about today, so that's wonderful. I was taking notes, so maybe we'll revisit those. But I loved the conversation. I have time. Lots of questions. Are you guys ready? It's like a thesis defense.
Yeah.
So fun. No pressure. It was really good discussion. So one thing I wanted to start with, I think I've seen a few of these questions come through related to pivoting So worked in an industry for 10 years, whether it's from a R&D perspective, business development perspective, B2B marketing, or a new graduate that maybe focused their graduate work in one area of study, but now really wanting to get into the battery space. You made such amazing comments about kind of employers maybe taking that 90% of the checklist for candidates of really selling themselves on why their skills would support it. But any thoughts on this transition? There's so many roles, so many people are interested in this space, but the question I hear a lot is, how do I transition and how do I get noticed?
I can answer to that as I see Alex smiling. So when it comes down to I guess like a candidate transitioning from any sort of scientific research to battery R&D, I think if it's pretty clear that there is no background or expertise really within that specific technology, then what the employer is going to really look for and what you should really elaborate on is your research side of your skill set, right? So what are the processes that are going to be easily transferable in your research, and how can you apply that to this specific role or business that you're moving into? They're going to really look at your, I guess, your R&D processes of previous work. So any case studies where you've been really successful. They're also going to, or you should also highlight maybe, some of the challenges that you came up against and how you really mitigated those and what the process you did to be able to, I guess, overcome those and make the project successful. So I guess it's just demonstrating your overall R&D or scientific research expertise, where they can really understand that in layman's terms for someone who's not a specialist in your specific chemistry or market, for them to identify how that can be relayed and valuable to their team. So we've definitely seen it, and it's definitely possible. I think you just need to make your expertise and background really clear. And like we mentioned earlier on in the webinar, come to them, with a solution orientated sort of outlook of their business, even when you're making the first interaction and it's not an interview. It could always help.
Love it. Thank you. Yeah, that's a tricky one, and newer industry, a lot of opportunities, a lot of people wanting to come in. All right, couple more minutes. There are fantastic questions. We definitely have more questions than we have time for today. So just for the audience, just wanted to make a note. We do have all of these questions on the back end. I'll be sure to share with Elliot and Alex, and the team can follow up with you afterwards.
Of course.
Yeah. This is one that has been popping up a lot. I'm just more curious about you guys' kind of outlook. You talked about partnering with local schools within California, recruitment fairs within California and Texas. A lot of questions around kind of building the operations side. We had a few questions throughout the program about technician level. I love this question, and it's so critical to building these facilities globally. Any thoughts on how we can get more involved, how employers can get more involved? Are you aware of programs that are currently happening that help companies find that operations technician level talent?
Yeah, so we do a few different initiatives with a couple of schools, as I mentioned. We're really lucky that we've been able to almost have that in to launch the careers fair at those schools by employees that studied there, right? So they've been able to come into our market, into our industry, be really successful, get in a position where they actually really need to scale their team and sort of do a U-turn and head back to their school and and launch these career fairs to be able to source candidates. We we are also part of different affiliations where we're able to, I guess, specifically look at overseas engineers from the likes of Korea, etc. So we do also, I guess, dabble in that side of things. Yeah, I hope that answers the question. I'm not too sure if it does.
Yeah, I think so. I think just kind of building at the high school and university level, getting companies more engaged and from the academic standpoint more engaged.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, I think it also comes down to, right, engagement comes after they are even aware of what this great market is, right? So I think it's really just letting people know that we have this amazing opportunity of huge manufacturing capacity in the US, for them to even consider being interested to start off with. So I think it's almost spreading the word is point number one.
Oh, we are having this webinar today and having a discussion.
Exactly.
And it'll be available publicly on our YouTube channel, open access for all to see. So hopefully we have some good interested candidates and employers that are looking for growth can use these tips later on. I took shop in high school. This might be dating me, but that's how I got into welding. I would have never known it existed had the program not existed at an early education. So I love it. Okay, perfect. Well, we're a couple minutes after. I love this. Just so many, there's comments, questions from the audience, so many great discussions. I'm so excited, Elliot and Alex, for you to see all of the wonderful discussions and for you to follow up with everyone in the program today. Do you want one more question? Should we go maybe to the top of the hour, or do you have to? I want to be mindful of your time.
We can certainly do one more question. What I would
Let's
say
squeeze one more
Let's
in.
do one. Let's squeeze one more in. All right.
What I would say is, if everyone following the webinar, still has a question and hasn't been answered, then feel free to connect with myself and Alex on LinkedIn and drop that in the chat, and I'll be happy to either pick up the phone or come back to you on our thoughts. So we'll try and get around to them all.
All right, I love it. So you talked a bit about time. Time is what did you say? You had a nice quote on time.
Time kills all deals.
Time kills all deals. Yeah. I really liked that comment. There's been some questions on what is an appropriate response time. And I don't know if this is coming from a employer perspective, hiring manager perspective, or a candidate perspective, but I'm curious what is an appropriate response time?
Elliot, I'll give my answer on this, and then you can tell me if you disagree. I think when I talk about what's appropriate from if you've applied and you're waiting to hear back, or I guess if you're the employer, I think you should be responding within 2 weeks at the latest. I think any further than that potentially demonstrates that you're either not serious about the candidate or not serious about hiring for the position. I say that with the caveat that I know how our consultants place adverts and so the employers themselves, and there can be hundreds of applicants, and a lot of them amazing, and it would be I think appropriate to respond to them all. Sometimes they don't meet the job description requirements very closely, so they can be just a laborious exercise. But as a rule of thumb, 2 weeks. If you as a candidate haven't heard back after 2 weeks, which I imagine would be the follow-up question, what do I do? My recommendation is asking yourself what you can do to stand out. So identifying senior stakeholders across the organization on the website, on LinkedIn, and those other resources, connecting, sending personalized messages, and indeed looking at your personal network, a personal and professional network, see if there's any ties into that organization that can allow you to get recommendation into it. Because it can be a frustrating experience as a candidate not hearing back, and I understand that happens more frequently than it should. Those steps should help you, and then once you've exhausted those steps, finding a conference, virtual or otherwise, maybe through Volta or other avenues, as an opportunity to engage with somebody live at that organization will help you. And then it might be worth looking internally or speaking to a specialist like somebody at Piper Maddox to say, is my skill set right for that role? And have I communicated that effectively enough?
I love that. Thank you, Alex. As you were giving that answer, I've seen some comments from, we still have hundreds of people online listening in, which is amazing. Comments of people who are interested in a transition that have added their LinkedIn. So that's wonderful. Just wanted to share with the audience. We'll be sure to share that with Alex and Elliot. And then if, on the flip side too, I've seen, if you're an employer that have niche roles, need help, need experts to come in and go through those hundreds of applicants to help kind of build your business, find the right candidate for long-term growth.
Plus proactively sourcing for those roles as well. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Drop your email in as well into the chat, and then we'll share that with the team. So wonderful. Thank you guys so much. So many of us, a lot of other questions, so it'll be fun follow-up with everybody, but great discussion. I'm excited to hear more as 2025 unfolds.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Myra. Thank you all.
Thank you
so
guys.
much.
Bye.